Maraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter Canto 10, chapter 84, chapter entitled The Sages' Teachings at Kurukshetra, text 40 and 41. So I'll just, we'll read the text 41. We'll chant the text 41 and read both 40 and 41 together. Vasudeva bhavanunam bhaktya paramaya harim jagatam ishvaram prarchaha sayadvam putratam gataha. Translation. O Vasudeva, without doubt you must have previously worshipped Lord Hari, the master of all worlds. Both you and your wife must have perfectly worshipped him with supreme devotion, since he has accepted the role of your son. Please forgive me, I chanted Vasudev. It is Vasudev, the father of Krishna. Purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti phrases the sage's mood as follows. We have answered you who question us in the manner of ordinary discourse, in the same ordinary way. In truth, however, since you are the eternally liberated Father of the Supreme Lord, neither worldly customs nor the injunctions of Scripture have any authority over you. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the very name Vasudev indicates that Vasudev manifests brilliantly, Divyati, the super excellent wealth, Vasu, of pure devotional service. In the 11th canto, Narad will again meet with Vasudev and at that time remind him, Devarshi bhutapta nrinam pitranam na kinkaro nayam rini charajan sarvatmana yah sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihritya kartam. O king, one who has given up all material duties and has taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Mukund, who offers shelter to all, is not indebted to the demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankind, or even his forefathers who have passed away. Since all such classes of living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, one who has surrendered to the Lord's service has no need to serve such persons separately. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.41. So let us read the translation to text 40 and 41 again. But you, O magnanimous soul, are already free from two of your debts, those to the sages and the forefathers. Now absolve yourself of your debt to the demigods by executing Vedic sacrifices, and in this way free yourself completely of debt and renounce all material shelter. Text 41. O Vasudev, without doubt you must have previously worshipped Lord Hari, the master of all worlds. Both you and your wife must have perfectly worshipped him with supreme devotion, since he has accepted the role of your son. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantigam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So it's a very uh, beautiful part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Before I begin my seva, let me offer my humble obeisances to all the senior devotees and all the assembled Vaishnavas today, this morning. Hare Krishna. So in this particular section of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see some amazing relationships and discussions which are taking place. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the discussions between the devotees of the Lord and also the discussions between those who are apparently not the devotees of the Lord, and when they are talking to someone who is the devotee of Lord, all these discussions are so nourishing, so fulfilling. They bring so much nourishment to one's heart, and that is the beauty of discussion. In fact, even when there is a discussion between a devotee and a demon, that also is very, very enlightening. It is not a discussion filled with hate, that a devotee, a demon hates the devotee, and therefore the devotee also in return with all his hate tries to communicate. So that's the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam. All the discussions ultimately purify one's heart and make one attracted to Krishna. So here, specifically in this particular section, we see this particular chapter, we see how Nanda Maharaj and Vasudev enjoyed such a good friendship. So much so that Nanda Maharaj had come to meet Vasudev just for a few days, rather just for a day. And then out of love and affection, he stayed for over 3 months. These kind of relationships you don't see in this world today. If a friend comes and overstays, it's not considered decency from both sides. Then the second kind of relationship we see is between Vasudev and the sages. So nice that the sages can freely instruct Vasudev about his duties. So although Vasudev is the father of Krishna himself, the sages do have that freedom, that authority, that natural sense of wanting to help and guide Vasudev, that they could give instructions. In the modern times, it is so difficult for the disciple to have such a relationship with Guru, or also the Guru to have such a relationship with disciple. I know some instances where the Guru has also hesitated to freely instruct the disciples, considering that the disciple may not accept that particular situation. So in the modern times, such relationships are very, very rare to see. I'm specifically mentioning this point of Vasudev and the sages, where the sages are freely instructing Vasudev. We also see in that relationship, although the Grihasthas, namely Vasudev and so on, they are maintaining the sages, they could understand that the duty of the grahasthas is to take some genuine guidance and instructions from the sages. And the sages also knew that it is our duty to be dependent on them in a manner that inspires the grahasthas. So either way, both of them were doing their roles so nice, and that naturally, as an outcome or a byproduct of both of them doing their duties nicely, the byproduct was a nourishing relationship, spiritually nourished relationship. So there can only be good relationships when it is centered around the truth. In very simple terms, or in the essence of what truth is, Prabhupada has given this name specifically. That truth is Krishna. But it is not simply a name that one says that my life is centered around Krishna. One fills one's room with photographs of Krishna and does some rituals or activities where Krishna is involved and the name keeps coming. It is to understand that Krishna represents the absolute truth. That means the true principles, the universal principles. These things must be part of one's life. One cannot be a devotee of Krishna or call oneself a devotee of Krishna or say that my life is centered around Krishna when one violates the basic principles of what Krishna consciousness is all about. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada also named this society as Krishna Consciousness, not as International Society for Krishna. He could have done it like something, just put the name Krishna and make it a society or a foundation, Krishna Foundation and so on. He said Krishna Consciousness. There is no meaning to Krishna without the Chetana or consciousness. So a very beautiful word comes in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says this, he tells about this particular principle. See, in any relationship, two things are necessary. One is there must be some joy for the relationship to sustain or grow. That joy is not enough. It must be complemented with a sense of nourishment. So one can get joy from even fleeting relationships, that we came together, we cracked some jokes, we had some superficial exchanges on certain matters, we discussed about our common hobbies, likes, dislikes, common friends and common enemies, and then we came together and then we felt joyful in that. No, not just that. It should not just be joyful, but it should also be nourishing, where when we come together we have some genuinely meaningful exchanges which nourish our life, in the sense that it gives clarity to our life. It makes us want to look forward to in that particular relationship. So that principle is called as Ramanti. That principle is called as Tushyanti. So Ramanti is joyful and Tushyanti is nourishing. So Krishna says in the 10th chapter, I think, so Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, it comes, Mat Chitta Madgata Pranaha Bodhayantascha Parasparam Kathayantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. So there can be only Tushyanti, nourishment, and Ramanti, joy. These two things can only be possible when there is Bodha, or when there is the discovery or the understanding or the assimilation of the idea of Krishna. If that does not take place, then these two things won't be there. You can always have bodha or knowledge or understanding about something mundane and probably get some kind of joy, but it will never nourish. So this is very, very important. The bodha, or the proper assimilated understanding of Krishna, that is called as bodha. If this exists, then there will naturally be Tushyanti and Ramanti, joy and nourishment both, even in situations which are very, very uncomfortable and difficult. On the other hand, when truth is not ascertained in our relationships and in our conversations, in our communications, in our behavior, and so on, if truth is not ascertained, then there cannot be nourishment. It is just not possible. So that is one part of what we see in this, that both the guru and the disciple, or the sages and Vasudev specifically is wanting the sages to take the role of the priest or the mentors. It is such that both of them are looking forward to it. The sages are looking forward to genuinely shower their blessings, to genuinely help Vasudev to navigate the later stage of his life with certain specifics. And Vasudev is also looking forward to it. It's not superficial as a show that look how I'm doing my rituals and dharma so nicely. I honored some sages nicely, and sages also are happy to so-called take photographs of seeing the Father of God falling at their feet. Nothing like that. It's very, very genuine from both sides. Also, we see a very interesting feature which also comes in the Mahabharata. I'll try to share certain aspects of it pertaining to the specific shlokas today about what surrender to Krishna means. Because in both the shlokas today, 40 and 41, both of them appear to be speaking two different things. In text number 40, Krishna, the sages are telling Vasudeva that he has to perform certain debts, 3 debts, and out of which one is already done, 2 are already done. So he just has 1 more debt left. And then the very next verse, they say, oh, but you must have, you actually don't need to also do this kind of, you're not obliged to fulfill the final debt because you are anyways the father of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So both verses appear very contradictory. But one must understand that being surrendered to Krishna also means that one does not oblige Krishna for his material journey while still taking shelter of him. So what does this exactly mean? It simply means that while we say to ourselves that I am dependent on Krishna, I do not tell Krishna that because I am dependent on you, now you take care of all my ambitions and desires. No, not that. I am dependent on Krishna, but at the same time, I understand that Krishna has given me the required necessary tools and abilities for me to sustain my life. That itself is a form of mercy of Krishna. While recognizing that, one uses one's abilities and skills given by Krishna to do the needful. For example, before entering the war at Kurukshetra, Arjun was fully following the instructions of Krishna. And it was at that time when they were discussing about how to defeat the Kaurava warriors. How are we going to deal with Bhishma as a warrior? How are we going to deal with Dronacharya as a warrior? How are we going to deal with Shakuni and Duryodhan and Dushasan, so many other warriors. So before the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all these were relations. They were uncles and cousins and gurus and so on. But now they are going to be only representing one relationship of an enemy in the battlefield specifically. And therefore, that categorization or that estimation of how this person who was my very dear guru or very dear grandfather or cousin, how are they exactly going to be my enemy? That had to be, and how am I going to defeat them? Both of those things had to be estimated. And therefore, Krishna told Arjun that if you want to fight a specific warrior, you need a specific weapon from Durga. Then to fight this person, you need a weapon from Indra. To fight this person, you need a weapon from Agni. You fight this person, you need a weapon of Vayu. And you cannot get weapons by just knocking their door. You need to solicit them. You need to worship them. You need to do the specific recommended things so that you get those weapons and so that you can accomplish the battle properly. Now, Arjun could have told that, my dear Krishna, since I have already surrendered to you and I'm simply following your instructions, why are you sending me to these 4-5 devatas? Might as well, why cannot you just give me? Why cannot I just chant the name of you, say just Krishna, and everything be done? Arjun did not argue that because he understood that Krishna's instruction of doing these certain things is a form of surrender to Krishna. Not that he was saying that because I'm going to worship Indra or Agni or Vayu, therefore I'm worshipping someone else other than Krishna. No, doing this, keeping Krishna in the center also is a form of following the instructions. And therefore, Arjun acquired those weapons from those specific people. And after getting them, he came to Krishna and asked him, now how am I supposed to use it? And then Krishna encouraged to use it in a certain manner at a certain time. So he did that. In the Bhagavad Gita, just before the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita. And in the 18th chapter, towards the conclusion, we have this very famous shloka, which is one of the most quoted shlokas in ISKCON and also by Srila Prabhupada, most preachers, which is Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja, where Krishna says to Arjun that abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. So after the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjun approached Krishna and asked him that what next should I do? So Krishna told Arjun that you please go to Kashi and worship Lord Shiva and atone for any potential or probable sinful reactions you may have incurred in the engagement of this duty for 18 days in the battlefield. So Arjun could have asked Krishna that since I am already surrendering to you, why am I supposed to worship Lord Shiva again? And you had already told that aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami ma shucha, that I will deliver you from all sinful reactions if you simply surrender to me. Now why are you telling me to go and worship Lord Shiva? Arjun did not say that. He understood that if Krishna is instructing, following that instruction also means that I'm surrendered to Krishna. So this is very important to understand. One must not take some of these instructions in a manner that if one is worshipping some devata or some demigod for a certain for a certain reason, one is therefore not worshipping Krishna. At the same time, the idea is basically that one has to keep Krishna in the center, and keeping Krishna in the center without false excuses, without trying to cheat someone else or cheat oneself, one must understand. One must act in that manner that Krishna consciousness flourishes in one's heart. Now also, when the sages say that you are free from all obligations, now who is free from all obligations? One who is fully surrendered to Krishna. Fully, and what does that mean? What does the fully surrendered to Krishna means? It means that one who has absolutely no desire whatsoever, he has no wish, no ambition, and no other aspiration other than to serve the truth, other than to serve Krishna. When one's life is filled in this manner, that there is not an iota of self puja, la, pratishtha, no ambition whatsoever. Such a person has absolutely no obligation. Now, in the life of most of the sadhakas or practicing devotees, that is not the state. Although we hear such high philosophy of fully surrendering to Krishna, it's just not possible by speaking or by putting photographs or by just externally appearing Krishnized. The consciousness is a very deep aspect. It's not as simple as that we just fill our lives with the sensory aspects of Krishna around us. Sensory aspect means photographs and sounds and so on. The mind must be invested. So, what is the best way that the mind is invested in Krishna? In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra, sarvam cha mai pashyati, tasyaham na pranashyami, sacha me na pranashyati. What a simple and beautiful way Krishna tries to explain. The nature of a devotee is that he sees Krishna in everything. And therefore, he does not try to exploit the Prakriti or the material nature in any shape or form in a way that his interaction with this material nature is just simply to serve him. He or she tries to think in a manner. He sees Krishna everywhere, basically. That's the whole point. Yomam pashyati sarvatra, one who sees me in everything and everything in me. For such a person, I am never lost. This is the easiest way to specifically do things. So therefore, in these two verses, we do see, although we do see some contradictory things, the sages are trying to educate Vasudev, that although you don't need to do these things, you are not obliged to do these obligations. In that external sense of duty, you may discharge these particular duties. So it's extremely essential that way, in that manner. In fact, Krishna also tells in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjun that I have no roles, no duties, and no obligations, no karmic influence by which I'm engaging myself in this world. And yet I keep doing my duty. So this is also the nature of great people, like let's say Vasudev. Although he has already done so much tapasya, so much austerity for so many thousands of years that Krishna appeared in 3 particular incarnations in their house. He accepted Vasudeva and Devaki as his father and mother. Still, Vasudeva is inclined to follow the dharma or the duty of whatever it is essential for in that material body which he has at that particular point of time. So that is also a very important instructions for all of us as practicing sadhakas, that we must not take anything granted, anything lightly, anything cheaply, and not try to override one text, one verse, one instructions over the other. That's not the manner in which one can approach spirituality. One must have the skill, one must cultivate this skill to see the nuanced truths which are there. So there is the letter and there is the spirit. One must have the ability to see both, all of them in their own lights. So I'd like to stop here. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions or comments, you may please share.
Jagannath Priya Prabhu, wonderful class. I wanted to share a reflection. I really liked the point that you made where you said that when a devotee sees Krishna, it's not to manipulate Krishna. When a demon sees the Lord, they may ask for a boon, they may ask to manipulate the nature, they may ask to trick the Lord. But when a Vaishnava sees Krishna, it's only to serve, to admire, to exchange love. Thank you very much for making that distinction. What would you do if you saw Krishna face to face? I'm sure you already see Krishna in your heart and in everything that's happening in your life. But if you saw Krishna face to face, what would you ask for?
Prabhu, I have this in the ashram. I have shared this with Manohar Prabhu and with all my ashram mates back there in India also. I have a very strong fascination to meet Vyas and Narad Muni, because I feel that if I hear and understand Krishna through them, the experience of Krishna is begotten. Otherwise, what am I going to see in Krishna that way?
That's
So
right.
if I meet Krishna, I still want to ask him to facilitate me meeting Narad and Vyas so that I can experience what I'm seeing.
Interesting.
It's a very
Yeah.
strong desire which I always have.
And thank you, Jagannath Priya Prabhu, for the example of a Vaishnava consciousness. We don't want to jump over devotees' heads. We always approach Krishna through his devotees. Thank you. Okay, who's next? Krishna Chandra Prabhu, you look exceptionally dharmic today. You look like a Vaishnava. Do you have a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. At the moment, I don't have a question. I'm just I'm meditating today, just because I have a few responsibilities for the program later today. I just want to make sure I do everything properly. But it
Krishna
was
Chandra Prabhu is
fantastic.
going to lead kirtan, it looks like.
Yes,
Yeah. Wow.
and be the MC at the Sunday program.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you look very festive.
Thank
Tilak is
you.
on. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Cool.
Hmm.
Okay. Bhima Prabhu, what would you ask Krishna if you saw him? Would you ask him to meet Kalki Avatar and check out his horse?
I asked him to give me the tolerance needed to listen to put up with you. We should all chime in as to who we would like to meet. If we had to meet someone in Lord Chaitanya's or Krishna's Leela, who would we like to meet most? And personally, myself would be Nityananda, because I know that with Nityananda, there's not a thing I could do wrong that I wouldn't be able to find some mercy and some forgiveness, and that we'd also have a lot of fun. So that's I would like to meet Nityananda. I would like to hang with Nityananda.
Nice. Jagannath Priya Prabhu, is that a bona fide desire? Is Bhima Prabhu in line with Guru Sadhu and Shastra with his desire?
As long as the desire is sincere and spiritual, there is no problem.
Jai. Jamuna Jai has her hand up.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for class. I was just, you made a point about talking about conversations and just this whole pastime since we've gotten there with everybody being there. I've just been really relishing and just reflecting on how wonderful the conversations that we're able to be, a fly in the wall for, thanks to it being written down, and how it really should guide our own conversations. No one's talking about the weather or my big toe hurts or the depth of the conversation is just more and more, Krishna says the austerity of speech is to be, honest and beneficial. But then he also says always to be speaking Krishna Katha. So I was really been reflecting on how these conversations are also centered on the right thing. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
And there's no Prajalpa in Naimisharanya forest. Adipusha Prabhu has his hand up.
Krishna, can you hear us okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Two subjects praying to Srila Prabhupada what to say. One of them is the idea of debt, we all have some understanding and apprehension about being in debt. And the subject came up that if you, since Vasudeva is fully engaged in devotional service, he doesn't owe anyone else anything. That's an interesting thing for devotees. We all have, like, parents, and we have a debt to the sun that's providing warmth, heat, light, and nourishing the plants. We have a debt to all the demigods. We have a debt to our ancestors. We have a debt. But it says that there's actually only one way to take care of that, and that is to surrender to Krishna fully. And then everything else is taken care of automatically. And the other point was, we talked about how engaging in conversing about Krishna, there's pleasure and what's the other one, Prabhu? Pleasure,
Nourishment.
Pleasure and nourishment, yeah. And also, Scripture explains that this Bhagavatam discourse is meant to bring about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilizations. There's no doubt that we're experiencing a misdirected civilization, and people are considering, by military means, financial means, political means, somehow or other, to turn back the efforts of misdirected, powerful people. But Krishna clearly explains that the Bhagavatam is our real weapon, and this will create a revolution. An entire civilization can be corrected just by the broadcasting of the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And recently someone was criticizing Vaisheshekar Prabhu, saying, well, you don't care about the politics that's going on now, you're just distributing books. Just distributing books? I was thinking, what is wrong with this person's perspective? Doesn't he understand that by distributing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, it will bring about a revolution in the impious life of this world's misdirected civilization? That this is our focus, this is what Prabhupada's guru told him. Don't worry about this politics and who's in office and what country is subjecting India. We don't have to be independent to just concentrate on telling people what Krishna is saying. And that's our focus, that's our total endeavor, and that's a complete solution to all problems. Besides the fact that we will be nourished, besides the fact that we will be feeling happy, this is very pleasing to Krishna to bring about this revolution. Prabhupada is a tremendous revolutionary to present the Srimad Bhagavatam to the world. Anyway, I'm talking too long. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. No debt, just do this. Broadcast the Bhagavatam. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.
So, Hare Krishna, I would like to add on this point. It was probably not explained properly that from a ritualistic perspective, one can consider these debts just as debts towards the forefathers or the demigods and so on. But this specific verse, where Krishna says in the Gita, Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvatra mai pashyati, one who sees me in everything and everything in me. For such a person who understands this, he can by seeing Krishna's energy in the demigods and the forefathers, and dutifully reciprocating with that energy, that same debt, which is just simply ritual, it becomes a spiritual activity in itself. It becomes a devotional service unto Krishna itself. So that's the whole mood in which Krishna is trying to say this. And by doing so, one integrates more relationships and situations around oneself. And that also brings a wholesome experience. If one, in either way, if one is fully in the mood of the kind of exclusively like the gopis and so on. That also is fine. If one cannot choose that path, then might as well even the mundane duties can become spiritualized by seeing Krishna in everything connected to Krishna.
In my own life, when I first came to Krishna consciousness, my mother would say, "I've lost my son." I reminded her in the Italian families, they say, when a boy gets married, they don't say you've lost a son, you say you've gained a daughter, right? You haven't lost a son. So I told her, you haven't lost your son, you've gained the whole Hare Krishna movement as part of the family.
Hare Krishna. That's so wonderful.
And that actually feeling of sadness and loss, I said, come and join us. Please come and live with us, come and serve with us, come in and we're not excluding you. You're completely welcome. And she became satisfied with that invitation, because I said sometimes she would complain, oh, this and that. And I said, Mama, I love you. That's what they want to know, that you love them.
Yeah.
The concept of the debt. What do you owe? What do you owe? And this is a Buddhist thing. Your mother, she carried your body in the womb. She fed you with her own blood. She gave you 1,200 pounds of breast milk. She saw that you were clean, that you were warm, that you were fed, that you were safe. And even when you're far away, she's thinking of you. And then the sutra says, what can you do to repay your mother? What can you do? Can you give millions of gold coins? Can you cut up pieces of your body and throw it into the fire? And then it says, no. The only way you can repay your mother is to give yourself totally to the Dharma. No other way to repay this debt, and all our debts. Everything's accomplished when you water the root of the tree. Anyway, glory to Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Krishna Chandra Prabhu. You're on mute, Prabhu.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So I was just thinking about this discussion about politics versus preaching. And just practically speaking, I felt, first of all, I feel that speaking about politics tends to be very divisive, especially in the United States, where things tend to get very polarized. And the other thing that comes to mind is that the birth of the Sankirtan movement occurred in a place where it was essentially prohibited, that the leaders, those that were running that area, were just very hostile, and yet the Sankirtan movement prevailed and it spread. And also, I was thinking of this mood that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had, that he said that I'm leaving my work unfinished, and when he was very old, he asked for a horse to so he could ride a horse and spread the Sankirtan movement and to spread Krishna consciousness. And I feel that this is the mood that we should aspire to have, to cultivate. And that, of course, distributing books is the foremost thing. This is what Srila Prabhupada wanted more than us, running for public office or advocating for certain candidates. Those are my thoughts.
Yes, indeed. Politics is definitely polarizing and it appears divisive, but again, as if one has the ability to see that politics also can be used in Krishna's service, then not everyone may be able to handle those kind of things. But then that is also like Krishna had a Sudharma assembly. He also had a parliament where he would take suggestions, discussions, debates, hot debates between Krishna and his ministers, and all those things would happen. So, but everything was centered around the truth. Today, politics is not centered around the truth, and therefore it is very divisive. So, that's definitely a problem. It's for someone who can deal with it, must deal with it.
They're fighting to see who will hold the steering wheel on the sinking ship. You know, for God's sake, you got to get off the ship. You got to get off the sinking ship. You can't. It doesn't matter who's steering it. It's going down. So, Lord Chaitanya's Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he urged Prabhupada, don't worry about this political. It's like smoke. The substantial solution and the thing that I'm asking you to do is to share the message from Lord Chaitanya. There's no material solution. This way, that way, left, right, up, down, communism, capitalism, this doesn't matter. Devotional service is the life of the soul, and this will bring about a revolution. Here we come with Radha Muralidhar coming. Wow, beautiful. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm closing this. Were you singing with us today?
What?
Were you singing before
Was I singing?
kirtan before?
Oh, no.
I'm making sure it's blurry. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Amrita Kishori Devidasi. Jai Jagannath Priya Prabhu. Welcome to the Afterglow, dear devotees. Thank you for sticking around. Would anyone like to speak or share a reflection, ask a question? Clarification, maybe? It was a very clear class.
I like the the last part of the class where he said, that we need. Thank you, Prabhu, for a wonderful class, by the way. But the last part where he said, and not and cultivate the nuance to see the truth. And it's the letter versus the spirit. And from what I've read in the history of ISKCON, devotees would ask Prabhupada questions and they wanted a definitive answer a lot of times. And then he would tell them, no, you have to figure that out yourself, or that takes some intelligence or something. So that's what is what we can do by listening and, to very carefully to the Bhagavatam every day. We can be able to learn how to find the nuance and find our own answers and Krishna's answers, and understand the letter versus the spirit. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry Prabhu. Okay. Karthik Prabhu, you had a question the other day, and I think we forgot to ask it in class. Do you still remember what it was, Karthik Prabhu?
No, Prabhu, I also
No?
forgot. I'm so sorry.
This is Kali Yuga,
Yes,
dude. It's Kali Yuga.
yes. Thank you for remembering me. And
Karthik.
wonderful class. Thank you.
Okay, dear devotees. We need a finisher. How about Sammy? Sammy, please unmute yourself, say Hare Krishna, and we'll complete the yagya for today. Sammy Long, Jai Jagannath.
Hi. I got a cat on my back. Hare Krishna. Y'all have a fabulous day. Mwah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Sammy. Thank you, Jagannath Priya Prabhu. Thank you very much, dear devotees. We look forward to seeing you in the temple.
We can have
Prabhu.
one more finisher of Darshan of Ram. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, see, that was a kiss from Ram.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.